Now, with me on this. So the Bible said, so now we can find Abraham there in Canaan. Watch this. Watch this. Now, Abraham left believing and trusting in God. Abraham didn't know which way he's going, still believing and trusting in. Are y'all with me on that? See, it's one thing for you to hang around the town you from or the next town next to you, but it's another thing if you go way off to somebody that don't know you. Huh? But he trusted in God. God was going to do what? Take care of him. Huh? Now, I'm quite sure that him traveling with his little group and everything, somebody didn't like him. Somebody might have said, who are you? And somebody might have even wanted something he got. But God took care of him. Look at somebody, can you trust in God? Then the Bible tells us, amen, that Abraham passed through the land in a place called Shechem, the same thing as Shechem, in the plains of Morad, and the Canaanites were there in the land. So in other words, when Abraham got there, could you imagine my daddy didn't left me 40 acres, and you get there, somebody else living on it. What you gonna do? You might say that's mine, but they ain't giving it up. See, all God was trying to tell him, I'm telling you about future things, Abraham. Can you trust me? And see, a lot of time we need to understand what we put out and what we do now, we want to be a blessing for our children later on down the line. Are y'all with me on this? So watch this. The Bible said Abraham went through all the land and everything, and the Bible said, and the Lord appeared, verse 7, the Lord appeared to Abraham and said, unto thy seed will I give this land, and there built he an altar unto the Lord who appeared unto him. So Abraham didn't build a house, but he built an altar, praising God for why? There was blessing coming. You know, a lot of times we need to understand, sometimes God going to bless you, but He's going to give it to your grandkids. But they're not still blessing you because it's a part of you. Are y'all with me on this? And watch what he said here. He said, unto thy seed will I give this land. But you promised to me it is yours. But it's yours through an inheritance for your kids. Are y'all with me on this? And the Bible said he moved there from mountain to the east of Bethel and pitched his tent there, having Bethel on the west and H-A-I-I, but actually pronounced A-I, on the east. And there he built an altar to the Lord and called upon the name of the Lord. And Abraham journeyed and going still toward the south. In other words, it's more than just getting here. You know, a lot of times we get to the front yard and we stop. No, you need to find out what's in the house, what's behind the house. So Abraham went all through their land, amen, to find out what's going on. He just sojourned, right? But I want to show something like here. He said, well, get to the part about trusting God. He was trusting in God. Because you got to figure, he going through a land that's occupied by some violent people. Are y'all with me on this? See, you hear what David said, yea, thou walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I fear no evil. Could you imagine Abram is walking through all this place here, and you got, in other words, you just don't show up somebody's house and walk around and take a look. So you got to figure God was with him. So he had to be trusting God to be walking around somebody's territory. You don't just walk around. Now, could you imagine that this conversation between him and God? What happened if Abraham went by and told the people who lived there, this mine, that's mine, that house there's mine, that's mine, that's mine. He wouldn't have lasted long, would he? But Abraham knew that God said, it's going to be your kids. So Abraham never built a. See, you don't go up to somebody's house and build a tent in the backyard and holler, this is mine anyway, so I'm just going to live here. But watch what happened here. The Bible said it came to pass when he was, first of all, go to verse 10. And there was a famine in the land, and Abram went down to Egypt to sojourn there, for the famine was great, grievous in the land. Now watch this. Abraham is going through the same thing his grandkids are going to have to go through. When the famine comes in the land, they're going to wind up in Egypt. Watch this. Isn't that something? God is sending him by every place his kids are going to show up at. Now, because of a famine, he went down to Egypt. Now, here's the part about do you trust God? Now, watch this. If God had told him, I'm going to be with you when he left out of Ur and going where he's going, and now he's walking around the promised land, but guess what? A famine came up. What happened to the milk and honey? The milk and honey only come when God gave it to Israel. Everybody else is going to work what they're getting. Y'all with me on this? It's a plentiful land, but a famine came. Look at somebody and said, because of sin. Because the Bible going to let us know even when the children of Israel get there, because of their sin, famine is going to show up again. But watch this. Then the Bible said that all of a sudden, when the famine came up, it came to pass that when he was come near to Egypt, near to enter Egypt. Now I'm showing that he went down to Egypt to sojourn down, stay there for a while. Sojourn means I'm just dropping by. For the famine was so bad here, I need to go someplace so I can find food. Why is it every time Israel, something happened to them before his food, they ran to Egypt? Egypt had the food. Then watch this. Let me show you something here. Do you trust God? So Abraham been trusting God all this point. I left kinfolks. I saw this one right here. And I left all the other things. My daddy started out, he died. But all the other relatives I left behind going where you want me to go. So you know I got to trust you, God. Right? So look at somebody said he's still trusting. But in verse number 11, he stopped trusting God. See, God had been protected. I want you to understand this. Sarai didn't just become beautiful in verse number 11. She was beautiful when he married her. Are y'all with me on that? Now, all the time he was going through the land of Canaan, she was still beautiful. But he wasn't worried about it. Because God was what? Protected him. Y'all see what I'm saying? But when he got to Egypt, he got near Egypt. Then on verse number 11 there, and it came to pass when he came near to entering into Egypt. So he probably figured that now, your beauty, I love how good you look. You say, well, she was 60 years old at that time. So that meant that according to she lived to be 125, 60 years old meant something like she's been on her 30 in the day's time when we was adding it up. So she was still at 60, she still looked better than majority of the women around there. At 60. You say, well, at 60, I feel kind of, I got a wrinkle here and a gray hair here. You know, that's nowadays. Sin would call you the age. But Sarah still looked good at 60 years old. And since she's going to live to be 125, that meant to the modern day time, she would only be about 30. So she was in her prime. Are y'all with me on this? But watch what he said. He said to Sarai, his wife, behold now, I know that thou art a fair woman to look upon. In other words, all he said, I know you're real beautiful. Well, she was beautiful when you married her. He was beautiful when you were going through Canaan. Yeah, but we're going to stop off at a place called Egypt. See, in Canaan, I stayed near. I went by certain places, but I didn't just go around everybody. I was surveying the land. But now I got to go into somebody's territory and into their closeness. Now watch what he said. He said, I know that thou art a fair woman to look upon. Look at somebody and said, I know you're good looking. Now watch what he said. Therefore it shall come to pass when the Egyptians shall see thee, that they shall say, this is his wife. They will kill me, but they will save thee alive. In other words, they see you, they see me, they're going to say they husband and wife. The only way we're going to get her is get rid of him. So he was now afraid that somebody going to kill him because they want his good-looking wife. He said, when they see you, they're going to kill me because they want you because you so good-looking. He said, now, this is what I want you to do. He said, when they see you, they shall say, that's his wife. Now, well, how you going to get her not being your wife, son? She was your wife when you left Ur. She was your wife when you walked through Canaan. And now you here in Egypt. How's she going to not be your wife? Watch what he said. And this was the part that said, do you trust God? Now watch what it said. Watch this verse here. Verse 13. Say, I pray thee, thou art my sister, that it may be well with me for thy sake, and my soul shall live because of thee. In other words, I want you to lie. Don't tell him. that you're my wife, but tell them you're my sister. Because if you tell them you're my sister, they're going to treat me fair. They're going to treat me well. What do you mean treat you well? Because if I'm the oldest and you're my sister, they might, they go, watch this. He already had a lot of stuff, but watch what Abraham is saying right here. Go to verse 13. That it may be well with me for thy sake. What do you mean by that? That it may be well for me. They may treat me better because their interest in you. In other words, you ever notice that if you want to try to get close to somebody, you give it to the family? Let me take you and get you a hamburger. Oh, you just want my sister, huh? You see what I'm saying? So he was saying they're going to treat me well because you are my sister. And the Bible go on to tell you they did treat him well. Look at the next verse. First of all, let's go back and say it one more time with me. I pray thee, say it, thou art my sister. Say it. I pray thee that you say, thou art my sister. Why, Abraham? That it may be well with me. They're going to treat me better. If they know that you're my wife, they're going to try to kill me. But if they know you're my sister, they're going to treat me good. Why? They're trying to get next to you. And by you lying like that, then it be well with me. I'm not going to die. But watch this. When you stop trusting God. If God brought you all the way to Canaan, and God had you walking around Canaan, and God did all that, why now you get in the midst of a bunch of Egyptians? You think God can't protect you? Why is it we don't mind trusting God for the headache, but we want to trust God for the migraine? We don't mind trusting God for a sniffle, but we can't trust God for the flu. Are y'all with me on that? See, we can trust God for a little hurt, but we fall out with cancer. What I'm trying to say, when do you stop trusting God? If God is watching over you through the small thing, don't you know ain't nothing big God can't handle? And you still need to trust him through all of that. So he said, I'm worried about they're going to do something to me. What are they going to do to you? If he didn't let a whole nation of Canaanite bother you, he sure ain't going to let the Egyptian bother you. Why? Because God said through you all nations should be blessed. And God is not going to fail on his word. And watch this. How can God let you fall until you start having some kids? And you ain't got one right now. So how God going to bless your kids when you don't have one? See, we need to understand that when God tells us he's going to bless us, no matter what you come up with, no matter what you go through, nothing can happen to you until God gets that blessing done. Y'all get that one? If God said he's going to bless you, and you know in your heart that God going to bless you, that God not going to let nothing happen to you until, that blessing come. Because that's a promise from God. Are y'all with me on this? So the Bible tells us they went on in, and it came to pass that when Abraham came into Egypt, look at the Bible, see, he already told us a lie. See, but I'm going to read the rest of it and I'll tell you about something here. The Egyptians beheld the woman that she was very fair. Well, they came into the town. Can you imagine coming through the gates? Now, of all the people with Abram, why they notice her? Wasn't Lot there? Wasn't Lot's wife there? Why they notice her? Like what Abraham said, you're good to look at. And they're going to notice you right off. And the same thing he said, they're going to notice you. The first thing he came in the gate, they started noticing him. Boy, look at that. We ain't never seen anybody look that good. Then watch this. But Abraham already had his mind in my heart to tell him, you're my sister. Now, I'm going to tell you this, the rest of the story before we get to the other story. Abraham half lied and lied. You say, well, Reverend, back it up and fix it for me. I'm going to fix it for you. Abraham lied because she half lied, he put it, but he still lied. A half lie is a lie. But it was a half truth that made a lie. Because Abraham pulled that one more time when he was afraid about how she looked. And the Bible said, I'm just getting a little ahead of myself on this, but the Bible said when he had that happen again, Abraham was around there and another king was looking down at them out there. And the Bible said they were sporting. You ever know how a husband and wife play with each other and hug each other and all that? And the king wanted her, but he looked down there and said, no, they don't act like they brothers and sisters. No. They act like their husband and wife. And then he said, why you lie to me and saying she's your sister? Second lie, he didn't say all about that. He said, well, she is my sister. For she's my daddy's child, but not my mama's. Which is true. Sarah is actually his half-sister. He said, Reverend, I didn't know that. Now you know the rest of the story. So I told you, he said, tell you my sister, but that was half the truth, which made it a lie. Because now she is his wife. And the Bible said, so the Bible said Abraham felt pretty good about all this, because now they're looking at her and talking about the Egyptian beheld a woman, and she was very fair. And the prince also Pharaoh saw her and commended her before Pharaoh. In other words, he was singing praise. Oh, Pharaoh, I saw somebody there. You just got to have her. There's nothing around here look better than she do. You ever know how somebody brag about how people look? Boy, have you seen her? But you don't find nobody looking that good. Well, who is she? She came with her brother over here. So he started singing a song about praising her how good she looked. Are y'all with me on this? So this is what he said. They treat me well because of thee. Watch this. What caused him to stop trusting God and when he thought they were going to kill him because of his wife. But he forgot one small thing. She was your wife when you left, and God protected you. She was your wife when you came through other towns, and God protected you. She's your wife when you got to Canaan, and God still protected you. Don't you trust God to protect you in Egypt? If God protected you yesterday, He can't protect you today. So what caused you to quit trusting Him? And the Bible said, if they told Pharaoh, and the prince also of Pharaoh saw her, and commended her before Pharaoh, and the woman was taken to Pharaoh's house. In other words, they said, that's the same. Watch this. Now, here's your wife. Let me show you something how the devil working on this. Y'all with me in just a minute. Here's your wife. And God has said, through you and her, you're going to have a seed that all the world going to be blessed. Talking about Jesus. Now, you think God is going to allow anything to happen to her, to defile her, that she can't be pure, and you have a child that Jesus is going to come out of? That's how the devil going to do. See, sometimes you need to watch how you give the devil too much of. Well, he didn't want to die. Have his kids got the land yet? Then why God going to let him when he ain't even had a child yet? Look at somebody and say, quit giving them on God before God's blessing be up on you. A lot of times people miss their blessing because they give up on the blesser. I wanted it yesterday and you didn't give it to me. So therefore, I'm not going to get it. And guess what God said? You're right about that. Because if you don't believe you're going to get it, you won't get it. Are y'all with me on this? And the Bible said that, watch what, let me show you that in verse number 16. Remember he said, I'll be blessed because of thee. Here's his blessing. And he entreated, watch this, she brought the woman to Pharaoh's house. Verse 16. And he entreated Abram well, and he entreated Abram well for her. And he has sheep and oxen, and he asses, and men servants, and maid servants, and she asses, and camel. In other words, he was trying to say, boy, I want to marry your sister, but you know what? I'm not going to give I got a dowry for her. I'm going to give you all this stuff. In other words, she don't have a dowry, but you're the closest kin because you're her brother, so I'm going to give you all this. In other words, the wealth that he gave Abram was for her married. He going to marry her. Y'all with me on that? Why he said, I'll be blessed because of thee. He has been blessed. He already got a lot, but now he got a lot more. And one thing I want you to understand is, when you stop trusting God, watch what you get. Now I'm going to go to the side just for a second here. Watch this. It said he got donkeys, cattle, men servants, and women servants. Let me show you how the devil can get in something. Remember later on when they got about 90 years old and Abraham still hadn't had a child with Sarah? Remember, Sarah sit there and told a woman by the name of what? Hagar. You marry her, you be with her, and the child she have called Ishmael, they can be your child. Now watch this. If Abraham hadn't lied, watch this. They say, well, what they got to do with Hagar? Watch this. He gave them men servants, and Hagar was part of the service that he gave, which is going to be a snare to Abraham later on. He gave women servants for Sarah, and her name was Hagar. And we know the whole story about Hagar and Ishmael. So by him lying, and he got, well, they're going to treat me well. Yeah, but watch what the devil give you. Because when he left out of there, he took Hagar, and she can become a snare later on in life. And so we find out here the Bible said that, now watch this. So after got all this, can you imagine Abraham walk around? I'm coming to get ready to come to the close. He walking around with all this stuff he got. I got a lot, but now I got a whole lot more. And you got Hagar. You don't know that she's going to be a thorn in your side. But because of you lied, look what you got. Look at somebody and say, when you mess up, you never know who the devil going to give you. See, you're in my group now. You belong to me. Yeah, I'm a bad seed planted in the midst of a good crop. And so the Bible said that, now watch this. So what happened was this, and between verse 16 and verse 17, God done something. Because he took her into his house, right? And so can you imagine now that all of a sudden he probably felt like I need to marry her and she's going to be mine. But God ain't going to stand for that. God wouldn't stand for that even if he said she's my wife. God would still intervene. Well, look at verse number 17. And the Lord plagued Pharaoh and his house with great plagues because of what? Sarai, Abraham's wife. In other words, God said, no. No, I got plans for them too. Even though he messed up, I got plans for them too. Even though he lied, I got plans for them too. And it didn't include you being a part of it. So God put a plague on Pharaoh and his household. When God put a plague on Pharaoh and his household, Pharaoh understood that's not supposed to happen. Go down to verse number 18, excuse me. And Pharaoh called Abram and said, what is this thou hast done unto me? Why didst thou not tell me that she was thy wife? In other words, well then who told him? He told Sarah not to say nothing, but just said, that's my brother. So she's probably still holding on to that's my. But when God got to dealing with him, he know that something ain't right here. Because all these plagues come on my house. So that means God had to tell him, don't you do that. That ain't yours. Never will be. She belongs to somebody else. That's how Pharaoh knew it. Because Pharaoh went out there and questioned Abram and said, why did you tell me this? What have you done to me? What do you mean, what have I done to you? I got plagues all over me and my household because of what you said. Well, how you know I did it? I know. And so the Bible said, why didn't you tell me that she was your wife? Why say that she's my sister? So I might have taken her to me to wife. Now therefore behold, thy wife, take her and go thy way. In other words, he said, now look here, let me show you something. I'm not going to mess with her. I could have. But God intervened. Let me know, don't you do that. He said, why are you lying to me? I might have married her. If I married her, then I might want to have children by her. And then God put something on me. So why'd you do that to me? Thought you going to kill me. Why do you trust God? If God brought you in, can't God bring you out? And can't God watch over you while you're there? Remember, you got a legacy to fulfill. You got a place to go and people to see and children to have. Why would God let somebody break in there when God already got something planned for you? Look at somebody, you don't know the plan God got for you. Quit letting people get in your plan. If God didn't put them there, Quit letting them get in your business. In other words, quit letting people get in your business. So watch what Pharaoh said. Now watch this. The Pharaoh already gave it to him. All that, men serving, all that. But why didn't Pharaoh take it back? Get your wife and get on the good foot. Did he have a right to take it back? Yes, he did. Because he was deceived. But look how God is making something good out of a mess. He said, take your wife and all you got and get out of here. Now, let me show you what the devil is doing. When he told him to take your wife and all you have and get out of here, Abraham took everything he had. Not what he came in with, but what he accumulated there. And Pharaoh said, take all what you got. In other words, Pharaoh was more upright than Abram was, because he didn't take back what he gave him. I gave it to you on good faith. But God is on your side. I'm not taking nothing back. That's a scheme of the devil. Watch this. Let me show you something here. Take all you got. So the devil said, you got over this time, but guess what? Hey, guy, keep on going. Y'all with me on that? So when Abram left Egypt, Hagar, see, what I'm trying to say, I got to hurry him close, but you ever been to the airport and they tell you don't leave your bag laying around because somebody might have left a bomb or something there, but also look at the other part. If you left your bag laying around and all your possession in it, and somebody walked by with one bag, now they got two, nobody gonna know it's not they two, but you. Huh? So look at somebody and say, I'm pulling somebody's excess baggage. So when he got ready to leave Egypt, he had some excess by the name of Hagar. Why? The devil said, I didn't get you that way, but I'm going to get you another way. See, I didn't get you by Pharaoh messing with her, but I'm going to get you by letting her mess with him. Take it with you. You see how what the devil did? Look at somebody and said, watch your group. The devil got a seed planted in there. And then the Bible say, he went on and said, why say that my sister? And said, now therefore behold thy wife. Why said, here's your wife, take her and get on the way. And Pharaoh commanded this man concerning him, that they sent him away, his wife and all that he had. Somebody shout, he also got Sarah. And they also now have Hagar. So what he's trying to say, because you didn't trust God, and the devil put something in your life that you didn't need if you'd just been trusting God. And now he left with a thorn in the side by the name of Hagar. Now, Pharaoh didn't violate Sarah, but through Sarah, the violation on Abram is going to be through Hagar, the one that he took with him. So when did you stop trusting God? If God can bring you through this, God can bring you through that. You just got to trust in God. When things look like it's bad and you can't see your way, remember this. Watch this. Remember, we go back and find out about David, how David encouraged himself. David encouraged himself by remembering through good and bad, God had protected him. Through all this, his badness, God watched over him. Through his goodness, God watched over him. Don't you know that God is going to watch over you? Don't you know that God, if he loves you and he's going to protect you, no matter where you are, he's going to protect you? Why do you stop trusting him because you think you're going to die? Guess what? You ought to look like Paul said, to die is gain, but God's not going to let you die. Oh, I go back and think about this going over the little river, and don't you know the storm came up? And they sometimes said, God woke Jesus up and said, don't you care to repair us? Did not Jesus say, we go to the other side? You can't go under when you're going over with Jesus because you hadn't made it to the other side. So quit worrying about falling all out until you get to where God wants you to fall out at. Remember, if God got a place for you to be, nothing's going to happen to you until God gets you there. If God got a job for you to do, nothing's going to happen to you until God has you fulfill that job. So, well, God got me on a mission. Nothing's going to happen to you until that mission is finished. Are y'all with me on this? So if I ask the question is, do you trust God? And what caused you to stop? You start worrying more about what people are going to say, what more people are going to do to you than what God done told you. Y'all see what I'm saying? Oh, they're going to do this to me. Who's your protector? God. Oh, they're going to take my wife. Who gave you her? God. So how are you going to let the devil take something God got control of? The only reason he got to take her to the house because Abram gave up his power of her. When he said, she's my and not my. See, the power lies in, she's my wife. Don't touch her. But if you sit there and say, she's my sister, then you gave up your authority. So now who got your authority now? The devil do. But thanks be to God that God sit there and said, no matter what you give away, I can get it back for you, but you need to watch what you give away. How many times we gave away things that God told you to keep? Y'all with me on this? God got a blessing for all of us. But we can't receive the blessing if we keep on stop trusting him when things look bad. If he can bring me through the good times, he can bring me through the bad times. I just got to learn to trust in him. How do I know this? Now, could you imagine Jesus coming down through 42 generations? Could you imagine born of a virgin named Mary? Look what Mary had to go through. They talked about her. Well, no, they didn't talk about it. Yes, they did, because they were just like everybody else. When Joseph found out that she was with child, he was like saying, ain't mine. And all of a sudden she's showing, what do you think the town folks were saying? It ain't his. So she done something wrong. But Jesus came, but Mary had to go through a lot of things, you know what I mean? But God was still with her. So Jesus, and even when Jesus started his ministry, they called him a wine bibber. Jesus wasn't a drunkard. Beelzebub, Jesus wasn't the devil. They called him all these things, but you know what? He still trusted in God. See, it doesn't matter what other folks say about you, what other folks do to you, do you still trust in God? If you can trust in God, you can withstand. See, what you need, this is what you ought to start doing. When somebody starts talking about you, instead of retaliating, you need to tell them I'm a Christian. If you say that belongs to God, then you let somebody else know, you can't take my joy, you can't take my peace, because I belong to God. No matter what you say or do to me, I belong to God. Try that sometime. I'm a Christian. I'm God's child. I'm a child of God. No matter what, no weapon formed against me shall prosper, but somebody got to show you something. And you ought to tell them, I belong to God. Until God get ready to call me home. You can't do nothing to me. And guess what? I'm not giving you permission to do anything to me. Because I belong to God. And the same God that brought me here yesterday can keep me today. And I can face tomorrow. Jesus hung and died. But he wasn't worried. Somebody said that's the end on Friday. Jesus said, yeah, but I'm looking for Sunday. Go ahead. Nail the nail. Go ahead. He said, because I will rise. Because he told him that the third day I will. See, Jesus went through the death, but he was looking for tomorrow. Because he said early on that third day. Jesus got out of the grave with all power in heaven and earth in his hand. So Jesus, I got past the dying, but look here, I'm alive on Sunday. When did you stop trusting God? Not Jesus. Because even in the pain on the cross, he said, Father, forgive them. But in your hand I commend my spirit. He was still trusting in God. Well, he finna die. He's still trusting in God. Because he know if God is watching on him now, God is able to bring him back from the dead. And Jesus still trusts. The question I ask you today is, what caused you to stop? Somebody show you a nail and you run. What caused you to stop? We're going to close our broadcast today, and I pray you got something out of it. Do you trust God? If God had brought you this way, we keep saying the song, he brought me a mighty long way. Well, God got a mighty long way to take us. When are you going to start trusting him all the way? Don't trust him when the water get good. Don't trust him when you got plenty of food. Trust him when you don't have nothing, knowing that he will provide for you. Trust him in the good times and the bad, knowing that God is still in control. Do you really trust God? We get ready to close our broadcast with a song.